my attention that there's a lot of movies that I think are, like, fantastic, but no one's ever seen except for me, or it seems like no one's seen them except for me. Like, I'll mention them and people will be like, what? I don't understand. So, I made a list. It's called The Top 10 Awesome Movies No One's Seen Except Me. The number one awesome movie that no one's seen except me is Oldboy. Oldboy is a Korean movie with English subtitles. A lot of these are actually foreign because foreign movies don't have much of a market outside of their country and they get kind of awash in the sea of Hollywood. Anyway, the premise of Oldboy is that this guy who's coming home from work one day and he's like at a restaurant or a bar or something and he's like having a good time after work. He starts to go home and he gets chloroformed and kidnapped. And he wakes up in this locked hotel room and he's completely like fine. He's not hurt or anything. And there's all kinds of food and amenities. There's just the doors are locked and the TV works, so he knows what's going on in the world. There's no phone, of course. And he just no one comes in to interrogate him or anything. He just kind of stays there. And all his food's provided for. He's kept perfectly healthy. He gets chloroformed to sleep every night. Well, gas to sleep through the door. And like someone comes in occasionally and like cuts his hair and stuff. And then one day, like 15 years later, I think, the doors opened and he's set free. And the rest of the entire movie is him figuring out who kidnapped him and why. And it's super intense. Like, this movie is so awesome. I don't know why, like, everyone hasn't seen it. Don't watch it if you have a sensitive stomach, because not only is there a lot of gore, there's a lot of stuff that, like, you'd never think you'd see in a movie, but just, like, it's really intense. Yeah, the endings also, like, would never have anticipated the ending at all. It's crazy. And, an example of a disturbing thing that happens that you would not have expected to happen that isn't spoilery is that at one point in the movie, he goes into a restaurant and eats a live squid. The number 2 movie is a film called After Hours, which is made by Martin Scorsese, and it's one of his, like, lesser-known movies. I think it's a really cool movie. It's kind of, like, quirky and weird. It may not be for everyone. Well, actually, all of these movies may not be for everyone. It's my personal list of movies that I think are awesome. And this movie is basically, it's like this guy, a night in the life of this guy who gets home from work and he goes to this diner and he starts talking to this girl. She, like, intrigues him a little bit and he goes back to her place and nothing happens, but he just, like, by going there, he becomes involved in this crazy conflict, and then he has to do this other stuff, and all these other things. He ends up stranded, like, miles away from his home. He lives in New York, and he just has this crazy, like, night-long adventure, and it's just so bizarre and funny. It's just really amusing to watch. Number 3 is a more recent movie. It's called The Fall. It took, like, 2 or 3 years to film. It was shot in, like, 30 different countries or something. It is a gorgeous movie. Cannot stress how beautiful this movie is to watch. You could watch it on mute and you would still just be like, ah. But anyway, The Fall is, I like to sum up by saying The Fall, an awesome movie about suicide. But it starts out in this not mental hospital. It starts in the normal hospital in, like, the 1920s or something. The main character is this little Spanish girl, whose name I can't remember, who has broken her arm. She befriends this man who just tells her that he has had a fall and he's sick in the hospital. And he starts to tell her a story, and you see the story, like, played out, just, like, a crazy, trippy, awesome movie, and it's just, like, it's really, like, emotionally intense, too, like, and it has a happy ending, which makes me glad, because it is about suicide. Yeah, it's really pretty and just awesome, and just, like, apparently a lot of critics hated this movie, and again, it's probably not for everyone. I thought it was really cool. Hi there, Twitter. Number 4 is a Finnish movie? Swedish? Finnish. Some European country. A nationality movie called Show Me Love. It's a really good movie, probably, like, the best acting I've ever seen in a movie. Like, it's just, like, you wouldn't believe these people are acting. It's a really nice, like, heartfelt, like, heartwarming, like, really realistic seeming movie about this girl. I can't remember her name. I haven't seen this movie in a really long time. Basically, it's about these two girls who fall in love, and it's kind of like a weird, awkward love story. And it's like, it's not like super like gay community oriented. It's just like a interesting, cute movie. And it's like awkward and weird, and they both just have their own issues. I haven't seen it in a while, so the plot kind of escapes me, but it was also like funny. I remember it being really funny. Number 5 is a French movie. I know, I like European movies apparently. Called He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not. It has Audrey Tautou. First time I saw He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not, I was just like, this is a good movie, but I didn't really understand why it was in a movie. Like, this is kind of interesting, but I don't really see the point or like what's going on. It was this girl who was like in this relationship with this guy, and he just kept being a jerk to her, and I was just like, what the hell? And I was getting like really bored by it actually, and then halfway through it would just like something happened, and I was just like, whoa, this is getting weird. And just like the movie just completely like did a 180 and just became like totally like crazy, captivating thriller almost, and it was just like a mind trip to say the least. And I actually own this movie, which is pretty rad. Number 6 is About a Boy. I don't know why it's so low on this list. I love that movie. It's not a foreign movie. It's English or American or whatever, with Hugh Grant. It's like just one of those movies where if it's on TV, I like need to watch it just because I'm like spellbound. But it's really funny and it's hilarious. And that's all I need to say, because you should just watch it, really, if you haven't seen it. Number 7 is Welcome to the Dollhouse, which I know some people have seen. Like, it's pretty well acclaimed movie and nice arty indie movie, but a lot of like people that I know or my peers do not seem to have seen it. I learned a lot of swear words from this movie actually. I saw it when I was like 14. I rented it from the library. It's rated R, and it's about like a 13-year-old, I think is her age, and basically she's just like a complete, just like awkward, most awkward dorky person you will ever meet, and she just like, it's just like how much her life kind of sucks, but it's like amusing to watch, and she just has her own like weird little eccentricities and stuff. It's kind of like a better female Napoleon Dynamite, and it's just like all these awkward scenes of her having this crush on this older guy, and just like these weird things she does, kind of like Napoleon Dynamite and Little Miss Sunshine combined into a crazy indie package. It's funny in a weird, cynical, sarcastic way. Number 8 is the Royal Tenenbaums. I really like this movie. Again, I don't think a lot of my peers have seen this movie. It's directed by Wes Anderson, which should explain enough of it to anyone who's seen any of his movies. It's like weird and quirky, and I like a lot of weird, quirky movies. It's just like this family, and they're all like completely dysfunctional and like have their own issues, and there's just like a bunch of crazy stuff that takes place, and borderline incest, but not really, because she's adopted. And there's a lot of really famous actors in this movie. It's very intriguing. I want to watch it or own it. It's an odd movie. Number 9 is not actually a movie, it's a TV show, but because it was canceled so early, it's like you can only find it on DVD, so I counted it as one. It's pretty short too. It's only 13 episodes. It is the show Wonderfalls, which I love. It's made by the guy who made Pushing Daisies. It's like this. The main character is this girl named Jay, who's like early 20-something, and she works at this gift shop near Niagara Falls. And one day, these inanimate, like, touristy objects start talking to her and telling her to do things. And she discovers that, like, the things that they tell her to do, like, help someone out, or, like, help, like, finish this bigger picture of stuff around her. And you never really find out, because it was cut short, like, if it's, like, God talking to her, or if it's just, like, the cosmos or anything. Number 10 is really definitely not for everyone, but I think it's really funny. It is the film Pootie Tang. You know how some comedies, like, you start watching them and you're like, oh, this is pretty funny, and then they hit, like, a dramatic part and they're like, oh, this isn't as funny anymore. Pootie Tang is not like that. Pootie Tang is funny all the way through, and it's really offensive and ridiculous. It is the most ridiculous movie I've ever seen in my life. It's about a rapper, it's about a fake rapper who talks in his own, like, somewhat ebonic language. He makes up his own words, basically. And he's also a superhero. He's also a superhero who fights with his father's magical belt. It's really funny and just, like, silly. Anything else? That's about it.